Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions, to this light circle, to the celebration of the light that we are, and the infinite power we have as light beings to start as the light, without limitations. The assumption is we're limited. Yet in the light of divine being that's here, is that true? Are we limited in our direct experience as light beings? Or is this an idea where we've given all of our power away to have a play in consciousness of being limited and feeling limited? Can we find in the light of infinite being any kind of limit? We might feel contractions, we might feel emotions, yet in the light of infinite being that's here, the light we share, can a single emotion prove that we're limited in any way in our direct experience? Can a single thought prove that we're separate? Even if we get a headache, can that prove that we're separate? The ego can look for proof of separation, yet in the light of divine being, can we find that proof? Can that proof stand up to the light that we are, infinite, unchanging light? So many assumptions we assumed. What if they're not true? None of them. Not one assumption of this world is true. Assumptions are beliefs, in investments in other. Yet can in the light of divine being, can we find that as our experience? Infinite, unchanging light. In truth, there's no proof that we're separate. This is an idea. This is an energetic investment in unhappiness. And so we're looking with Jesus at some of the chapters in A New Covenant. To look with him, he's giving us a very deep and quick dive to look at the desire not to be infinite, to have an experience of other than infinite light of being, and to see that no thought, feeling, or emotion can actually stand in this light. A single thought, a single idea. Can a single idea have any impact on the light? Suffering's an idea, it's a concept. In the light of divine being, is suffering a concept? And here the light says, so we can know this. Depression, sadness. Can the light know sadness in our direct experience, infinite light? Yet this is the game that arises in consciousness that gets invested in. So we're going to go through chapter 20. It'll probably take us a number of days, actually. We started going through a lot of these beliefs and desires as Jesus turns each one from a belief that's listed in A Course in Miracles. The mind training he's talking about is see that you're light, and see each of these in the light of divine being. There's just no greater power than divine being, divinity. And it starts right now. It doesn't have to wait until we've cleared these thoughts. We can start as the light of being. And then see from that perspective all of these thoughts and hear the voice within tell us, because we're powerful enough to do this. We're beyond all thoughts. We're before any thought ever started. So Jesus starts all of the beliefs of the ego thought system that are below awareness in the subconscious mind are given in A Course in Miracles. It is suggested to review and quickly clear these beliefs and desires in light circle sessions. This is merely a symbol of reviewing all of these with me in the light of truth. So it doesn't necessarily take a light circle session. It's just the power. It's a symbol. The light circles are a symbol of the power of willingness and joining with our brother to see what's true together. Just the presence of our brother, just the single thought of being joined together is the power that we have to recognize divinity. For when we see it in a brother, we see it in ourselves. This is merely a symbol of reviewing all these with me in the light of truth to see that they have no meaning. The light of truth is forgiveness, to see that no thoughts have any meaning whatsoever to the light being. Do any thoughts have any meaning to a light being, a being of light in our direct experience? We assume they have meaning. We've built a world in which it seems like thoughts have meaning, but in the truth and honesty of God as a light being, do they have meaning to us? Other than to play in consciousness as though we don't know the Fathers ourselves, that we are one with the Father now. This is where willingness is acceptance of your true power as one with the Father. The willingness to just stand as the light and look and see if any of these thoughts can change the light that's here. That's it. It seemed like, oh, this awakening is really difficult. It's going to take a long time. Those are all desire. It's a desire for a long time awakening experience. Jesus, will you show me any desire for a long time waking experience that's left below my level of awareness? I'm willing to see it. Any ideas that I've created that it's going to be hard for me to see what's most natural to me? Infinite light, infinite divine being, before all thoughts. These are all miscreations of mind, of wrong-mindedness, the pretend not to be holy mind, the pretend mind, the argument with God, or the argument with ourselves. Notice in each case how the desired experience is for you to feel more or less than you already are. The desire, the tiny mad idea is the desire for an experience to feel more or less than infinite being. Is it possible to feel more or less than an infinite being in truth? Can we find this as an infinite being in the light of truth that's here? Let's see if we can find it. Yet within the play of consciousness, if we abdicate creative power to the experience, it can seem so in a dream. Let's just ask the divine light, is this dreaming if we feel more or less than ourselves? And hear the light answer. Infinite light. See that these are desires for objective experience, the experience of an object acted on by the world. So let's just check in with the light. Infinite light of being. Is infinite light of being an object in our direct experience? The infinite being that we are, is it a hard object? Can we find an object in there, in the light of being? What's before a body? Before thought, is that an object? This is powerful seeing, because as soon as it's seen that there's no object here, then we see there's no world to act on us. The world is purely an idea that we miscreated as though it does act on us. Yet as the light of infinite being, can we be acted on by the world in honesty? This is honesty of God together. Can the world act on us in truth, in the light of divine being? Infinite being does not know more or less. In the light of infinite being, we don't know more or less. We can check in and see this for ourselves, not because we're told, because we recognize it. Is there any being on this planet limited in their ability to recognize light? A mother, daughter, sister, brother, do they all have the same equivalent power to recognize infinite being? Is there anyone that God said, nope, not you? Like, oh no, you don't have the ability. This is how we honor our brother, to see that we can all see it. It's the great level playing field. Yet we seek for this in form all the time through laws, equivalency. You're going to be equivalent to me if we have a after school program and no one's left behind. See that in the light of divine being. Is anyone left behind in the light of divine being? Is it possible? Infinite light. Is it leaving? Sorry, you're out. Too bad. Does the light say that in the light of divine being? Let's listen. Does it hear that? This is a world of have-nots, have and have-nots. Does the light know anything? Infinite light know anything about haves and have-nots? Let's see if that can be found in the light. This is the joy to see this, because the ego would have that, oh, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that there's no one here. We can't help but see that no one's here because no one's here. All there is infinite light. What? There's just that addiction to playing, no, no, no. I want to be an object. I want to congeal like Jello, as I've said. I could see it. I could watch. I want to congeal. I want to be an object. I want it. Oh, I want it. So we're just looking at the itches. The itch for objecthood. The itch to have a shape. Does the light have a shape? In our direct experience, can we find an edge to infinite light? We know this. No edge. We like to shape it and make it look like a body, but in truth, in the light of truth, infinite light, is there truly a shaped infinite light? So it takes a little while to get seemingly, I love that Mooji says, reacclimated to formlessness. Because we like to make ourselves a little lump of Play-Doh and have a shape. So we have the opportunity. This is the choice. When Jesus says choose again, now we see what we're choosing for. Infinite light. It's not choosing for it because you can't choose to be it. Can we choose to be infinite light as light beings? Can we choose it? Can we choose not to be an infinite light? And see the answer. It's so obvious. It's like, no. Can we pretend? Can we pretend that we're not that? And hear yes. Will we suffer if we pretend we're not the light? Hear the answer inside from the light. Tell us yes. But we do it anyway. And then we go, what happened? Jesus, what happened? Well, you're pretending you're not the light. It's going to hurt. Jesus says pain is only aroused to bring into awareness that correction is necessary. Does the light need any kind of correction? In our direct infinite light, let's see, in our direct experience, can we find a correction needed in there? Something, does it believe in sin? We're looking for it. Let's hunt down that sin in there. We can see in the light. It doesn't know these things. That's who we are. We don't know anything. Nothing whatsoever. Then we pretend like we do, and we're going to feel like Jello congealing. Now we can just laugh at that and say, okay, all right, Jesus, I have a desire to feel like Jello congealing, like an object. Something's going to happen to me. Infinite being is the light just is here, just here, infinite light. No pretending like we can't see it. That's what Jesus is saying. Quit pretending. You don't know your light. It's like my niece, 7 years old. And she's, what's here? Nothing. The light. Innocence. That's why it takes innocence. What do you see when you look back there? All is forgiven. The whole Course in Miracles, that was about a 30-second answer. We're watching the Matrix trilogy, all of them, one after the other. Whoa, ho, ho. And I saw it, and I'm realizing, of course, Jesus is saying, you do realize, of course, that this is about a 30-second movie if you just accept you're the light. What if you keep saying no? It's going to be a long movie, but it is helpful. I asked him, is this expression of divinity to watch this? I can hear the yes, because it's guided. It's given by the Spirit. I always ask them that question. Is this what I'm saying yes to is expression of divinity? When I hear something seemingly informed to do, is this divine expression? If I hear yes, it goes. If I don't hear yes, it doesn't go. No. Because to not be the divine expression is to say no to myself. Like, that's following the Holy Spirit. That's following guidance. Guidance is divine expression. I didn't get that. I thought that was the boogeyman coming to get me when I heard you first started hearing that voice. Oh, that voice is going to want me to do something bad, or something bad's going to happen. And I see how it can take time to kind of get used to that, because since the whole idea of ourselves is so upside down, the whole ego's made to go, something's bad going to happen if we follow divine light, that it seems like that at first. That's why we have to listen and follow and ignore all the voices that we miscreated, and go ahead and follow that light, because we're following our divinity. We're following ourselves out of the idea we have of ourselves, the idea we have of ourselves that make us feel like we're in hell because we created hell. So we got to follow the divine light out. It's the only way out, actually. Yeah, Jesus is saying, if you keep following, it's for me, he's giving me the talk. Here's the pep talk. If you follow that idea you have of yourself, you'll stay in that samsara wheel. We said, riding that Ferris wheel, woohoo, around, just keep riding it and suffering. Oh, it seems like a good experience. Oh, crap, it's horrible. Oh, yes, it's just, that pleasure pain cycle, which is the same. It's not consistent, infinite happiness and peace. The contrast between what you are, infinite light. Okay, we just ask. Why not? Jesus says we ask for so little. So let's ask for the whole enchilada. In the light of divine being, are we the light? Does the light say, no, you're not the light? Doesn't say that. But the ego will come in and give about 1,000 reasons why we're not that. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, in the celebration of all the bombs going off here, to celebrate the holiday, still, does one of those bombs change that we're infinite light? Jesus. No. We're infinite light. Thus is the contrast between what you are, infinite light, formless, shapeless, not knowing death, not knowing anything about this world, just exactly as Jesus in the Course, and then we're going to look at the other side of that, and the miscreation to experience what we're not, crunched, painful suffering over here. Yet, we talk about it, it's like a desire. And we look underneath it and all these desires with them, and having to admit, oh, yes, Jesus, you're so right. I do want it. I feel that energy of really wanting to engage in the self-argument, the argument with myself. Seeming like an argument with another, but since there's only one, there's no place else for that to go. Thing doesn't go out. These beliefs and desires are all the same in that they are denials of divinity, denials of the light. The light, does the light suffer in any way? In our direct experience as light beings, it's so helpful just to look at this from the perspective of honesty of God. Does it suffer? So if suffering arises, it's in the dream. Ask the divine light. If suffering arises, it in the dream. Ask the light. You hear the answer. Can't hide from that light at all, even if we want to pretend to. Many of these desires may seem to be very close to the same, and in the light of truth, they are the same. They're all the desire to say no to divine power. Every desire, anything, the slightest twitch, anything other than just incredible happiness, but not a happiness of this world, caused by something, causeless happiness, causeless joy. That is just not known in a personal identity. Can't know that because a personal identity is constructed to deny causeless joy. So like joy for no reason, just sitting there happy and there's no reason for it. What's nothing to work for, nothing to do. Wait a minute, that's just from the perspective of the thought-based dream. In the dream, no, that can't be possible that I could be happy are you really, Jesus, all the time? All the time. Peace all the time, all the time. Well, see the light. Does the light find any place where peace isn't found? In the light of divine being. Can a divine being find a place where peace isn't? We go hunting in divine being. It's helpful to look at divine being because we're so used to using that power of consciousness to like hone in on a fragment. The fragment is the problem. See, the divine being doesn't see a problem. Look around. Does the divine being in our direct experience know what a problem is? That's why it's peaceful. It's oblivious to problems. Problem takes a memory. Does a divine being have memory in the light of divine being? The Son of God remembered not to laugh. It took memory to forget that this whole thing is actually pretty darn funny. Sometimes it doesn't feel funny in the way. We can look at that too. The desire not for awakening, not to be funny. Jesus is, I want to look at that. Is there any desire below my level of awareness? Because he's saying it's happy laughter, right? So if there are any desires below my level of awareness, this should not be fun, should not be funny, and hilariously so, this whole thing, I'm willing to see it. I'm looking at her. Is there let that energy rise up and be seen through in the light. Just put it right in that light. Bing. And see if the light's intimidated by anything that arises. The diversity of ways a decision to experience separation displays as the experience of fragmentation of consciousness below the level of awareness. The little fiefdom, we were laughing about that in one of the chapters. He said, this is a fiefdom of nothingness. A little kingdom of nothingness. I admit it, Jesus. Oh. Carefully contemplate each one, and you'll see that each is a decision to deny who you are, deny the light. It's so funny, it's coming to mind how, seeing this light at first was like, oh, that's interesting. Next, It's so undervalued. It's like the whole gig. It's the whole gig to see that we're the light. It's just so valued. We're just so used to playing the other gig, That's really good, Jesus. Show me something. Show me something else other than infinite light. It's like the whole, and Muji will say that too. He says, you do not realize what you have discovered. So true. We toss it out like bathwater in exchange for the play of consciousness. Because ultimately we know that nothing bad happens. That's why sometimes we have to suffer a whole lot for the wake-up call. Because otherwise we just play around denying our divine nature. You know, denying all the gifts. God's not going, look, I'm giving you partial gifts. Let's ask the light. In the infinite light that's here, is there a partial gift? Is there anything partial in that, or is it full? I'm giving you a fragment. Does God say, look, I'm going to give you a little scrap. That's all you get. Let me see if that's true. We have to laugh at it. It's just the divine truth. We're looking at truth here. Okay. And see how funny we are to say all we accept is scraps. And Jesus says it directly in a course. You're just taking scraps for yourself. You do not ask for a lot. So therefore, we're here and we're asking for the whole enchilada. We want all of it. All of the divine happiness that pours our way, that's given by our dad, by our Father, the one. That's it. And in this, you will see that you can never truly deny who you are. And that's why I love these light circles, because we look and we can see, no matter how hard we try, how mad we get, how whatever's happening in the world, the light still here. we laughed about that too, about Jesus. Jesus just won't go away. I can get mad, I can scream, I can palm my fist. He will not go away. He's always there, isn't he? He's just always there. The voice for God, because that's us. We can never leave ourselves. That's God, us calling ourselves home. This is a valuable use of time to see you're already timeless. In each case, the beliefs given in A Course in Miracles are retranslated to demonstrate the desire for the experience that exists below the belief. So we can see that beliefs are not true. In the light of divine being, any belief looked at directly as a light being, any sentence, any sentence, right? Look at any sentence with a charge. I hate you, with a couple of curse words, MF, and just put that thought, any hatred. Let's just, because we can conjure up hatred because we made it. And put any thought of hatred and see if it coexists with infinite light. The most blistering mad that you've ever been, and then put it right in the light and see how long it lasts. In the light of being. The light of being's going, what's that? And sometimes it takes a little minute. Zzz, it zaps it. So that's basically what we're doing. We're just going through with Jesus and going, okay, show me that energetic investment in saying no to myself, basically, no to God. No thought, feeling, or emotion, no objective experience. These are all trying to make objects for us to experience, to be an object that's acted on by our emotions. Their emotions are out of control, that we've lost control over what we made. But we made it so it would appear as though we've lost control. No thought, feeling, or emotion, no objective experience arises without the desire for it. And if you believe it, you'll seem to experience the effects of your desire. So this is going directly to our divine power, the misuse of divine power, to pretend like we can sleep. So we'll start with the 4 core beliefs of the ego. These are very valuable to look at deeply with Jesus. You believe that what God created can be changed by your own mind. Thus, you desire an experience of using your mind to attempt to change what God created. Let's just look at there's any energy around that, Jesus. I'm willing to see it. You believe that what God created can be changed by your own mind. Is there any desire to experience using my mind to change what God created? Show it to me. Is there anything I need to see? Sometimes you'll get pictures or experiences and just place them gently in the light of that's here that we celebrate. We are. Sometimes you'll feel the desire, the itch for it, and just be present with the desire. Yes, I have that desire. Let him show it. Jesus, show me any desire energy around that. I'm willing to see it another way. The itch for miscreation. Using your mind to attempt to change what God created perfect and to experience imperfection. Is there any desire below my level of awareness to have an experience of imperfection? Imperfection in myself or others. So he's pointing to, for here, the desire for God to be imperfect, to experience God as imperfect. So the desires for these experiences, the energetics behind it. First, I love this because it really demonstrates that his promise that he will, if asked, reveal to us the conditions underneath any kind of thought, feeling. And that we can go directly to the desire and be really present with the desire for imperfection, because that's the whole world, right? Calling everything imperfect. When we know in the light of divine being that is infinite perfection. It's almost like infinite light of perfection meets the desire for imperfection, because the ego tries to keep those separate. So when they're married, you wed those together. That desire for imperfection. In the light of divine being, can they coexist? It's like the light of divine being just fries that. Cannot coexist. That's infinite power. That's willingness. That's all willingness. That's why he says it's a little willingness. Does it take a lot of willingness to look as infinite light and just go, let me look at this desire for experience of imperfection and put them together? This really reminds me of Don Clare when I was coaching in the prison system, and this just reminds me so much of that, because he said there's like this process you do with someone who's addicted to cocaine or alcohol, and he says, they've never really met themselves under the influence. So there's this little process where you have those two meet, and it's very transformational. Well, this is the addiction to God, so it's not different. All we're having is infinite light. The part we've withheld meet infinite light. Let's bring those together. We're no longer investing energetic and going, okay, I'm gonna push those. We're just going, okay, let's just see how it works, see if that can survive, because we're so convinced that it's real. But can it be real if you put it in infinite light of being that we are, and it goes so that's the correction. You desire an experience of change to deny changelessness. Jesus, is there any desire, that desire for change, that addiction to change, the changing? We love the changing. Then we try to hold it and pretend like if we can not change our ego, then everything will be okay. Or if we can just hold change in terms of form constant, which is, can we ever see a time when change is not happening? Like, we decorate a room in our house to make it look a certain way so we can go into it and look happy. But yet, is it ever the same? The light's not the same. The shadows cast differently, but there's an illusion that we can hold on to change. That feels really good, to just take that desire to hold on to change, because that's what it is. Desire to hold on to change and put that in the changeless. So expansive, like the love that pours out when these energetics are cleared. Like, someone said, well, you don't want to be a bliss ninny. Well, yes, I do. Because that's our divine nature. It's not a bliss ninny. Let's put the idea of a bliss ninny in with divine. Yes, I do. Because we can be bliss ninnies, not bliss ninnies that way. Infinite happiness. I'm taking Jesus absolutely at his word. No limitation. So let's take the next little piece of, and so we just keep working with them. It's so much love in this. It becomes so much joyful and so simple and so happiness to work with him, because it's loving God. It's fulfillment of our only function on this planet, which is the recognition of divinity, to see that nothing stands before us unless we miscreate it. So core belief number 2, we're going for it. You believe that what is perfect can be rendered imperfect or lacking. We really want to have lacking experience. Let's just ask the light. In the light of divine being, is there a desire below our level of awareness for an experience of imperfection? Okay, show that to me. I'm willing to see it. The desire for it. It's where that desire, the itch for imperfection, comes together in the light of being. Let's see how that works. That cleans out the closets right there. The infinite light.
Thus, you desire an experience or feeling you are imperfect or lacking to deny divine perfection. Yet see how easily, when it's looked at, this energy starts to clear out. The desire for the experience. And is the interesting thing is these clear consciousness, then the reflections don't come into consciousness anymore. I don't, it's like, oh, Jesus, I don't understand why I feel so lacking, and I feel like it's sacrifice, and I feel like that because it's desired experience. And so as long as it's desired experience, we're literally sending out a signal into the universe, give me, please, because we're asking for so little, give me an experience of lack. And so all the little figures, then we create all the little figures that are going to come in the form of our brother to show us where the lack is until it's cleared from consciousness, cleared out of the subconscious mind. You desire an experience of projecting imperfection on yourself, on others, wherever it can be projected, because that's what the ego does. It goes hunting. We were laughing about, Jaws, donna. There goes the ego looking for a way to find a problem. So it feels really good. You desire an experience of projecting imperfection in a world apart from yourself. For the experience or imperfection or lack, Jesus, I'm willing to put that desire. Is there show me any desires around that imperfection in myself? And I'm willing to have that just completely cleared in the light of divine being. And Jesus will reveal the examples. That if we get the root, meaning it's really opening our hearts to have nothing hidden, because we can only hide from ourselves. So completely going naked with these things in the light of truth and see how easily they burn. It's when we hold on to them that's going to hurt. That movie Divergent, when we just watched, or Insurgent, was a great example of that. Just keeping it hidden, didn't want to really look at the underneath the experiences she was having, at all the desires she was having for those experiences. We look for the proof and form and defend against it rather than going and looking what's underneath what's appearing in consciousness. Number 3, you believe that you can distort the creations of God, including yourself. Thus, you desire an experience where you experience distortions in the creations of God. So that it would be to treat the light like it's distorted. Yet, can the light ever be distorted? Including yourself. Jesus, I'm willing to show me any desire for distort the creations of God below my level of awareness. And look directly and see. I love that. We're watching that Matrix trilogy, and it's so beautiful. You start to see it in the movies, in the reflections in the mind, when there's a turning in rather than running from ourselves. It's a turning in toward, okay, give it. I'm going to look at it directly. It's only fearful when we're running from it. When we turn in, he turns in and goes, no, I'm going to look at this directly, being chased by Mr. Anderson. No, he's Mr. Anderson. Who's
Agent Smith.
Agent Smith. Running from Agent Smith. No, he's turning into it. We're really seeing how we turn into it. Then we'll turn into it for a while, and then we talk about it here going sideways. Something will appear in consciousness that catches our eyes like a bright little penny, rather than really turning into what's true. And then we'll get a distraction. This Muji calls it, the ego will throw stones in the bush. That's us throwing our own stones in the bush, not to continue on, like, and stay with it. You know, and notice the attention span doesn't last long. Okay, I'm going to stay with this so long, and then I'm going to go do something else. And this, I can feel it for these light circles. This is for me. I can't speak for anybody else, but he's given the assignment full on, and let's just stay with it, because this is really fast, looking directly as the light. If truly our true desire is for happiness, for infinite happiness promised by God, by looking at our miscreations directly. And he's given such an easy way to do it. Distortions, the desire for the experience of distortions in the creations of God. I'm willing to see it directly. You believe that you can create yourself and that the direction of your own creation is up to you. Thus, you desire an experience in which you create yourself and the direction of your own creation is up to you. The creation of an ego, the creation of some miscreation, really. Because in the light of divine being, is it possible to create separate from God? And hear the answer of the divine. It's impossible. So the only way that it can be experienced, the direction of our own creation, since we're the same as God, is to desire it. You desire an experience in which you create yourself, and the direction of your own creation is up to you. You desire an experience of directing creation apart from God, and thus to feel left homeless by your Creator. Jesus, I'm willing to see any places where I'm wanting to be left homeless. Have that experience. God has left me. And have that meet directly with the divine light within. It's like introducing that part of yourself to your true self. That's all it is. All it is. Introducing the idea, the self-concept, to the light of divine being. It's a melting in, and all the pain is the running away from that. Simple. And it'll play out in all kinds of ways in consciousness, releases of energy, all kinds of plays. Jesus just keeps saying it. Once the desires are released to make it difficult, waking up, you know, the prayer for an easy way, and ceasing the running and standing into it, not following the rats of our own making down the rat holes in 1,000 different ways. We're just really staying as the light. That's what we're talking. You just dial yourself in as infinite. Not that you have to, but we need it in mind. We need that reminder. Keep the dial. Oh, I'm off. You know, I've left my home, because we're so used to not being home and saying, okay, I'm not home. Dial on infinite, set it, put a lock on it, tape it in that position. As I said before, staple yourself to Jesus and just stay right there and see if God's promises, regardless of all the, you know, let the form dance and be what's beyond form. Amen.